Welcome back, troops. Let's have 59. So, soldiers getting drunk and fighting downtown. Now, that's something that's been going on for hundreds of years. Let me tell you, that's been going on for a long, long time. And it's still going on today, I'm sure. So what's it all about? Well, young soldiers in a garrison town, whether that's in Germany back in the day or where Cyprus or wherever it's happening, soldiers get stationed there. They got money in their pocket. They're young, fit, aggressive fighting men. And they're going to get downtown after they've been maybe on an operation, or maybe they've just been on a long exercise, a long training exercise somewhere, been out in the Ulu for weeks on end, living rough, probably deprived of alcohol and a bit of fun. These are young people, remember, these are young men. They're no difference because they're soldiers. Young men, young British men certainly, they go on holiday together to Ibiza and places like that, Benidorm, groups of lads, stag nights or whatever. They get drunk, there's going to be fights. Alcohol, drinking and young men, you're always going to get trouble, aren't you? But of course it points to the army quite a lot. And I'm sure it's not restricted to the British Army. I'm sure our friends over the pond in the United States, over in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, France, Germany, I'm sure it's pretty much the same. I'd like to know, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. So of course that's what happens. They come back off of an extended period of time of being away. Certainly the single guys, I mean, okay, the married guys, they're going to come back and they're probably not going to go downtown as much. They're going to come back to their wives and families, whatever. But the young, single guys, when they get back off of a training exercise or whatever, certainly saw it in Germany myself, I'm sure you have, they want to get down to Gaddafi, get down the old Naffy. They want to have a few cheap ones in there, and then they're going to hit the stat. They're going to get downtown, aren't they? And they're going to have a few drinks, and that's when it can start. And of course, with soldiers, they're either going to fight the local civilian lads in town, or they're going to fight with maybe another regiment, another unit that's stationed in their garrison town. And one battalion's going to fight against another battalion. Or you even get it where A company of the same battalion will fight B company because they're different companies. Or 4 platoon will fight 5 platoon. It's crazy. They can't get a fight, they fight amongst themselves. It's just the way it is. It's always been that way, and I'm sure it continues. Now, if you happen to be a civilian living in one of these garrison towns like Catterick, Aldershot, Colchester, down in Tidworth, Bulford, Salisbury Plain area, you're going to see that. You'll have witnessed that downtown on a Friday, Saturday night on a weekend. Young soldiers, plenty of cash to splash. They go downtown. There's going to be trouble. Because there's a certain amount of jealousy in these garrison towns, whether it's overseas or here in the UK. When you get young men, young single soldiers going downtown, they've got cash to splash around, they haven't got the same overheads maybe as a civilian lad's got. They might have a bit more cash than him. Girls are quite often attracted to young soldiers because they've got a bit of money, a flash motor or whatever. And so there's a certain amount of jealousy between the civilian population and the soldiers in that garrison town, and that can spark it off. And as I say, 2 battalions. You go into a garrison town, we've got more than 1 unit. Remember in Germany, where I was, in Celle, there was 2 units. There was us down in Taunton Barracks, Heide Kaserne, sort of nearer the town centre. And then up the road at Trenchard Barracks was always an infantry battalion up there. I remember the Prince of Wales Own being up there in the early days, and I think it was the Royal Green Jackets. And then before we left, I think it was the Royal Angolans. And so, because they were a different cap badge to us, we were in town together. We had pubs that we visited, and they wouldn't come into our pubs, these German bars, and vice versa. We knew where the Royal Angolans, for instance, or the Royal Green Jackets, whoever it was, we knew what their pubs were, and we stayed away from them. Because if you're mixed, there's going to be trouble. But of course, some of the nightclubs did have both units in there, frequenting it. And it would kick off for whatever reason. I don't know, it's a tribal thing, isn't it? We're tribal people, aren't we, humans? We're tribal. You know, our cap badge is better than your cap badge, and so on. Very competitive, very tribal. So that happens a lot. Now, of course, the consequence of that is you get in a lot of trouble. And, of course, in the army, you can get done twice. So, for instance, if you're a young soldier downtown and you're scrapping and you get nicked by the civilian police, whether that's the German police back in the days when we were in Germany, or it's the UK civil police, or wherever it is, it doesn't matter really. The civilian police get hold of you, you're nicked, and you're going to go through that civilian law process. So if in Germany, you're going to go through the German civil laws, and obviously if it's Cyprus, if it's UK, whatever. But then you're going to get, the army are going to find out, obviously they're going to find out, and then you're going to get nicked by them. So you're going to get done twice. And of course, if it happens too often, you're going to get the boot, depending on the severity of it. So it's always gone on. And I was looking the other day, I was looking online and stuff, like you do, and I saw that there's been quite a few instances currently of British soldiers getting into trouble, drunken brawls in Estonia. Now, is it Operation Carbit? I can't pronounce it. Carbit. There's an operation where British troops, British forces are in northern Estonia. And it's a place called Tapa, T-A-P-A. And just outside the main town of Tapa is quite a large, old military barracks. It's being built up even more, but it goes right back to the Second World War when the Soviet Union had it. I think the original camp was built around 1938, 1939. And it was a Soviet Red Army base. There's an airfield there, etc. And then, of course, the breakdown of the Soviet Union, Estonia got its independence, and the Estonian army used it. And now, with this NATO operation that's going on out there, sort of flexing our muscles on the Russian border, so to speak, British troops are stationed there for periods of time. And there's been several incidents out there. There was one in 2021 where a group, 7 to 10 British soldiers, it kicked off in a pub in this town of Tapa with local lads over a female. Something to do with a female. I'm imagining it's a local female girl. Obviously, again, you know, the British soldiers flashing a bit of cash around. The Estonian locals didn't like it too much. Some girl was involved, and it kicked off and spilled out into the street into a big punch-up. Drunken brawl. And obviously, they were arrested and disciplined. The British, that is. And another one in 2024 where British troops had a similar incident, again over a female, drunk downtown in a pub in Tapa. But this time, it wasn't with the locals. It was British troops fighting against French soldiers. So there you go. It's either with the locals or with another regiment. Or in this case, another country, the French. So it's going on even today. Now, back when I was in the army in Germany, certainly, there wasn't, well, you could argue there wasn't so much to do. I did do a video way back about how we entertained ourselves back in the Cold War days in BAOR, the British Army of the Rhine. And there wasn't as much as there is today. Back then, we didn't have the internet, obviously. We didn't have a lot of TV. We only had the sort of BFBS channel out in Germany. So there's one British channel that gave you a certain amount of recorded programs. But that was it. We did get, later on, we did get video recorders. And so we could hire videos and stuff like that. There wasn't the computer games. Obviously, there was no PlayStations and stuff like that. So we had very little TV. We had plenty of cash. We had lots of cheap booze in the naffy. And even the prices downtown weren't too bad. So obviously, you put all that together, young lads, 8 to 10 men in a room on a weekend. If you weren't on duty, you couldn't nip back to the UK for the weekend, really, back then. You know, where we were, a good 6-7 hour drive just to get to the docks in France or Belgium. Then you got to get a ferry across the UK, and then you got to drive to wherever you live in UK, and then get back in a weekend. It wasn't really feasible. So you got this group of young men, bit of cash, cheap booze, not a lot to do, And they're young men, they want to go downtown, they want to meet women, they want to meet girls and have a laugh and get drunk with their mates, etc. So of course they're going to go downtown. And you're looking at, a unit of maybe 800 men. You could have at any time 300 or 400 men on a weekend going downtown. And if you put another unit in that town as well, they're going to be doing the same. It's just a mixture for disaster, isn't it? And it's going to happen. And it's going to continue to happen, even today. Whether it happens so much in the garrison towns now, I bet it does actually. I've heard rumours that in Colchester garrison, you've got a lot of airborne troops there, that they go downtown. It certainly used to be that way in Aldershot. Not saying that the airborne start all the fights, they don't, but I think all soldiers do, whatever cap badge you are. But I think it still goes on today. It still happens. But just an interesting one, talking about British troops fighting downtown when they're drunk, when it happens, getting in trouble with the local police. Of course, I remember in Aldershot, not that long ago when I was there in Aldershot, I got to Aldershot in 2006 to about 2011. I was in Aldershot. And even then, on a weekend, in the evening, you would see military police in uniform on foot patrols, or you'd see one of their military police vehicles parked up. But certainly walking through Aldershot town centre in the evening, you would see one or two, well, it's always in twos, a minimum of twos, military police personnel patrolling, sometimes with the civilian police, sometimes just on their own. Just, I suppose, to put a visual deterrent there. So if any of you got any stories, maybe you were military police and you were downtown in Germany on Saturday nights, Sunday nights, or Friday, Saturday nights, or whatever weekend, trying to police it, and or maybe you was military police in Aldershot or Colchester or one of the other garrison towns in the UK, or maybe you're from over in the United States, and you were downtown. Was it the same thing with you guys? I'm sure it was with the Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians. I'm sure we were all the same. Young lads downtown, loads of money, having a bit of a ruck. It always happens. Anyway, a little waffle about that. So I hope you're all well, staying safe, staying healthy. If you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, I'd like you to take a moment to consider it. I'm not saying do it, I'm asking you to consider it. I was looking at the stats online. I'm getting a bit better on the old computers now. I'm trying to have a look. And on the analytics thing, it's saying about 75% of people that watch my channels haven't subscribed. That's a real shame because it would really help my channel grow. I want to do some more stuff. I want to get out a bit more. I was lucky to get to Germany. Couldn't do a lot that time. But there's lots of stuff I want to do. And if I can get more subscribers, it's really going to help me, drive me on to do that. So please consider subscribing. You'd help me out a lot. That's my begging over. Begging bit over. Anyway, stay safe, troops. Remember, let's tab.